And for more on Brexit, Julie and I are joined by Antonio Fatas, the Professor of Economics at INSEAD. Professor, thanks for joining us. Theresa May calling off that Brexit vote because she knew she couldn't secure the numbers in Parliament to push through her Brexit deal. Will she be able to go to Brussels now and renegotiate? I can't see that happening.
I mean, I think she's playing this strategic game with the domestic constituencies, with the European Union, but I don't see how it's going to work. I think the Europeans have a lot of power in this negotiation. They're going to tell her to go back home and figure out a deal, a different deal, or the same deal. Otherwise, they will not renegotiate.
So, Professor, I mean, what are the options? What are the realistic options out there?
I mean, it's very hard to read. My reading from yesterday's actions is that she doesn't have a plan B. She had only one plan. She was hoping that by pushing things to the deadline, the Parliament would say, okay, that's the best deal we have, let's vote for it. But clearly the Parliament is not willing to do that. So now we are in a territory of uncertainty. We're going to talk about a hard Brexit. We're going to talk about the possibility of a second referendum or just buying time. There is the possibility that they stop Article 50, which is the one that started the process, and they sort of go back to zero and they say, well, can we figure out what we really want?
A lot of it hinders on the backstop as well between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Will the EU maybe allow for no structures at all, just easy flow of people and goods and services? Will that ever happen?
I don't think so. I think they've allowed for as much as they could. The wording of the current plan by Theresa May was already a little bit loose, and the European Union was okay with that. I think that's as far as they will go. I mean, the issue of Ireland is a fundamental one. Ireland is a member of the European Union. They'll never let a border happen between Ireland and Northern Ireland.
And Professor, hours before Mrs. May deferred the vote, Europe's top court confirmed that the UK can terminate the Brexit process if it wants to without an outside approval. I mean, obviously this is a lifeline for those who wish to stay, but could this make a difference?
I mean, it will make a big difference, and it might be the best solution, but you have to ask yourself, internally in the UK, could that be the outcome? And it all depends on how the Labour Party and the members of the Conservative Party who are willing to challenge Theresa May think about that. It might be that they like that idea. It's a way to buy time, to say, okay, let's not negotiate now with the European Union, let's buy ourselves some time, we'll exit later, and in the meantime, let's make sure that we go to power by defeating Theresa May. So it could be a solution that works internally and also externally.
Now, just a sniff of a delay in that parliamentary vote, and the pound has fallen to its lowest in 18 months. Is this a sign of things to come? You're looking at a devalued currency, a smaller economy, possible recession, and having to reestablish free trade deals with countries like the USA. And also, don't forget that huge divorce deal that they have to pay as well in breaking up with the EU.
Yeah. And the reality is Brexit was never good economic news for the UK. In the long term, we all understood that that had an economic cost. What we're seeing now is not just that, but it's seeing the uncertainty. How is it going to happen? Is hard Brexit a real possibility? And anyone who's thinking that's a real possibility, for sure, is going to be very worried about a big recession in the UK.
So in your view, is any agreement better than no agreement?
Any agreement is better than no agreement, but at this point, there's no plan B, so it's even hard to think about what we talk about when we say agreement.
Are we looking at the very slow and painful end for the British PM, Theresa May?
I think at this point she's gone. I cannot imagine either her party or anyone else in Parliament supporting her as the leader. Exactly how that will happen, I'm not sure, but I don't think she'll be around much longer.
So if another person takes her job, obviously they have to face the same headache. What's next?
Well, they face that deadline. The deadline is January 21st. There has to be an agreement signed with all the details by January 21st. Now, that's impossible at this point unless they go back to the only plan available, which is Theresa May's plan. So that's what I'm thinking. There must be a way to buy time, and one way is to revoke Article 50 and say, let's go back to zero. Let's think collectively in the UK, what is it that we really want when we say we want to be out of the European Union?
Why is she so resistant to a second referendum? Because people are now seeing what could possibly happen. So they're very concerned and very worried, about what's happening to their British pound. So do you think they should push ahead? Because now you've got 15, 16-year-olds who are now 18 who are ready to vote, and they're very pro-European. Could you see maybe a strong push to say we have to get this done and rehear what people are thinking?
I mean, it's a country that is so divided. There are the people who really want to leave, the people who think we should have never have that referendum. If you have a second referendum, the people who wanted to leave, they believe it's a betrayal of democracy. Now, I disagree with that statement, and that's how they feel about it. So you're going to have almost half of the country thinking you're going against democracy and being constantly thinking that was a betrayal of what we already voted. So it's a really hard decision to make, to have a second referendum, because you lose half of the country. Now, the compromise that she's trying to achieve is not making anyone happy. So I'm not sure that's a better solution by basically making 100% of the population unhappy.
Uncertainty out there, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, whatever will happen, will happen. We find out next week she goes across to Brussels.
Yep.
And hopefully there's some form of negotiation. If not, it's back to the drawing board for Theresa May. Thank you very much for coming in. We were speaking to Antonio Fatas, Professor of Economics at INSEAD. Now,